You need a huge team to be successful. Now, that's just simply not true. The second myth in real estate, you've just got to outwork everyone else and then success will follow. Now, don't get me wrong, hard work is very important. But again, you have to work out, you need to be an extrovert to be successful in real estate. I actually think introverted people can sometimes be a lot more trustworthy. You have to be really good at social media marketing these days to be a successful real estate agent. Now that is complete and utter bullshit. This is coming from someone who invests heavily in social media marketing. The highest earning agents do nothing but work. I have interviewed some of Australia's biggest agents, and from what I can see, agents, welcome to the Get Keen podcast, your number one destination for learning how to get the most out of your real estate career. I'm Dan Lee, founder of Plum Property, one of Queensland's largest independent real estate offices, and Plum Partners, where we've helped dozens of agents create, run, and grow their very own agencies. On Get Keen, I chat to high-performing agents, principals, and agency owners, so you have the tools, strategies, and insights to grow your business and live the best life for yourself and your family. Now let's get keen. All right, welcome back to Get Keen. We got a solo episode with just me today, guys and girls. Dan Lee here to share the 12 biggest myths in real estate that real estate agents need to look out for. Okay? First myth being that you need a huge team to be successful. Now, that's just simply not true. Now, there are a lot of teams out there doing massive commissions that do have big teams. But I know plenty of agents that are single agents that live great lives and are earning great incomes. And I guess this myth is confusing because people always see like more volume, more commission equals more success. But that's not necessarily true. You need to define what success means to you, right? And being successful, you can't go from zero to having a massive team in the first year. When you start out on your own, being successful means getting to capacity. And then if you want to move to the next step, making that transition to getting sales associates and building a team. But you may not want that. Now, I have firsthand experience. There's a guy in my office called Brett Andreasen, right? He's a fantastic agent. He's awesome. He's actually the REIQ Salesperson of the Year for 2 years, 2015 and 20. And I'm fortunate enough to have him in my office. And this guy, he does about 800K GCI a year, right? Now, that's a significant amount for one man who works on his own. And he doesn't want a big team. He works by himself with a VA. Now, what his pillars for success are a family, time off, working hard, but only working hard when he's at work. And for the amount of effort he puts in and without the stress of having teams and having to be a leader and all those overheads that come with having a team, he's super happy from what I can see. And I look at him and I think that guy's really successful. So you don't need a team to be you don't need a huge team to be very successful. You just need to define what that success is for you and strive to get it. Okay, the second myth in real estate is that you've just got to outwork everyone else and then success will follow. Like, just work hard and you're going to be successful. Now, don't get me wrong. With this myth, I just want to point out that hard work is very important and imperative to success. But again, you have to work out, what does working hard mean? Because a lot of agents come into an office in a day and they may be there 10 hours. They may be there from 8 till 6 or even later. But how much work is actually being done and what type of work is being done in order for you to get that success, right? Just showing up to the office and being there for 10 to 12 hours, if that's a big day, is not enough. If you are spending half of your day having conversations with people in the office, getting distracted, being at the water cooler for 20 minutes, going on a 1.5 hour lunch, saying yes to every coffee when a finance broker wants to meet with you or solicitor wants to meet with you. You're spending your time helping people in the office do their work instead of doing your own work. And you go home at the end of the day and you tell yourself that you've worked really hard today and you've done a big day. But if a coach or a mentor looked at what you did in the day, they would literally shake their head. They would mark down on a piece of paper how much actual work you did and what type it was, and it would be really pathetic. And you really need to change your habits. Working smart is more important than just working hard. Working on the right activities is more important than just working hard. You can say you work hard, you can spend lots of time at the office and be on the internet and be doing there's so many things that you can get distracted with in real estate. But working on the right activities is what is going to get you success. So, if you're a new agent, you need to be spending most of your time on prospecting, not getting distracted, not just sitting on realestate.com researching the market. It's all about building relationships, marketing to those relationships, handing out value after value to different people in the marketplace. Those are the activities that are going to get you success. So focusing on things like call sessions, connects, appraisals, listing presentations. Define your success on the outcomes you're getting, not just how long you stay at the office. The third myth that I want to debunk is that you need to be an extrovert to be successful in real estate. Now, that is just simply not true. Now, there are a lot of extroverted real estate agents, and I will say that it is an advantage to be an extrovert in real estate. And the reason it's an advantage is that extroverted people are usually not shy to get themselves out there, potentially face rejection. They usually handle rejection easier. They're generally not as embarrassed to just try new things and put themselves in front of people. And so extroverted people may have an advantage in the beginning because our job involves a lot of that getting in front of people. And introverted people, in general, don't tend to like to put themselves out there as much. So I would say it's an advantage to be an extrovert in the beginning, but it is by no means necessary for you to be an extrovert to be successful in real estate. And I'll give you a prime example. I have an agent in my office. Now, she's recently, about 3 months ago, retired, but her name's Kim, and she's a massive introvert. Okay, she's the type of lady that if she goes to a party and she doesn't know anyone, you'll find her in the corner, hiding behind the curtain. She just doesn't like situations with a lot of people that she doesn't know. She's just not generally an out there kind of person. She doesn't like big crowds. All of those introverted qualities, she has them. But she's a fantastic real estate agent. And she was one of my highest performing agents, one of the most successful agents that I've known in my entire career. Right? I'm talking in upwards of 2 million GCI this lady would make with, 90 transactions a year. Super talented. And, in a way, I actually think introverted people can sometimes be a lot more trustworthy because they come across with a softer demeanor. They're usually just a little bit more in touch with just deeper personal conversations and things like that. Whereas extroverts are generally higher energy and can sometimes come off as a little bit more slimy or just a little bit too salesy. So introverted people, in a lot of ways, as long as they can get in front of the right people, can often be more trustworthy just because of their general personality. And I can tell you from experience, by having extroverts in my office that are really successful, that don't worry, if you're not an extrovert, you can make it in this business. But you still need to find the ways to market yourself, to have people contact you, to get in front of people. And if that's not going to be, door knocking for you, maybe it's just a really, really vigorous, non-stop letterbox dropping campaign that you're just like, you're better than everyone at. And Kim, for example, hates prospecting, never cold called in her life, never knocked on one door in her life, hates the idea of it, okay? Me, I'm an extrovert. I did all that stuff, and I got my success from doing that stuff. Kim literally letterbox dropped every single letterbox in her patch, in her core area, every week of every year for 10 years. And she got a lot of leads from that. Now, you might think that just seems easy. It was a lot of work. It's a big area to walk and cover. Someone's got to drop it. Someone's got to print a new brochure every week and make it look good and make it interesting and provide value, and then drop it and do it consistently every week. It's costly. It takes a lot of time. You need help to do it usually. And Kim had to figure out all those things and make it work consistently in order for her to be getting lots of leads. And then when she got in front of people, she was just so damn trustworthy, lived in the area, a mother, really good at just sitting with people and understanding their wants and their needs and their concerns and helping them, and she would very rarely lose listings because she's just had that really trustworthy demeanor. And I think that came from her being an introvert. So again, not necessary. Massive myth. You can be an introvert and be one of the highest paid agents in your area. All right, myth number 4, and I love talking about this one, is you have to be really good at social media marketing these days to be a successful real estate agent. Now that is complete and utter bullshit. All right. And I say that this is coming from someone who invests heavily in social media marketing. I'm always doing social media content. And when I was an agent, I did a lot of social media content. And it also helped me to get listings. But I would honestly say that that was a small part of the bigger picture of my success. Okay. I don't believe it personally when I hear agents come out and say, I get all my leads from social media and I've never done, it's all social media. Unless you're a specific niche, right? And I know buyer's agents get a lot of theirs from social media. But agents that say, I get heaps of listings because of my social media, I personally just don't believe it. I've never witnessed an agent who just successfully gets heaps of inbound leads because of their social media profile. What it's really good at is adding a layer of advertising on top of your already existing profile. Okay. If you haven't sold anything, you haven't done anything special, you don't have any relationships with anyone, and you're just always on social media, just spending all your time, I don't know what you'd be doing, because if you're not showing the houses that you're selling and listing, you just throwing market reports and advice out there and I don't know what other content you'd make, but you're not going to get, I just can't see you getting listings from that. I don't think you do. I've done all types of social media advertising, and what I think it really is good for is increasing your profile and your status, right? But you need to have done the groundwork first, right? Isn't it funny how Coca-Cola will put up a billboard, Coca-Cola? Why do they need to? We already know who Coca-Cola is. Everyone, everyone's had a Coke before. Everyone knows what Coca-Cola is. You're never going to go to the shops and go, never heard of that Coca-Cola, yet they still advertise themselves on a billboard and you drive past it. Why does that have more effect? It actually has more effect because we already know the brand. Okay, and that's why where social media can really advance you is if people already know you, you've already done something for them, you already have profile in the area, they've already interacted with you, then they see your social media ads or your social, like things that you're doing on social media, they're actually much more likely to engage with that post and see what you're doing because they have some sort of personal connection with you. If you see a random real estate agent, if you're a punter in the market, or just owner in the market or whatever, and some random agent comes up on on Facebook or Instagram and starts spitting some garbage out at you, if you don't know them, you don't know this person, have no idea who it is, never had a connection with them, likelihood is they're going to flick past you without a blink of an eye because there's no reason to watch you. They've got no interest in you. However, if you've, say, let's done an appraisal for that person in the past, or even they've met you at an open home and you were really helpful and they kind of liked you, they may never even done business with you, but they at least had an interaction with you. And maybe they even know your name because you sell a lot in the area. And then they see your ad or your post come up on social media and they're like, oh, I recognize that person, that agent. The chances of them actually watching that post, possibly interacting, maybe even making a comment or liking it, it's actually really good. The chances are really good that they're actually going to watch your shit. But if they don't know you, chances are they're flicking past to something that they're going to be entertained with. So you don't have to be really good at social media marketing to get successful. I think, in fact, you need to be successful first and then invest heavily in social media marketing on top of that to promote yourself even more. And from that combined effort, you'll get even better results. Hey guys, just quickly, if you're loving this content and you're a real estate agent that's already thinking what it might be like to have your own real estate business and brand, then check out the show notes. There'll be a link to our Plum Partners website where you can leave an inquiry and me or one of my team members will reach out. We help agents to create, run, and grow their own real estate business and brand so they can earn more and set up a better future for themselves. So get keen, get in touch. Now let's get back to the episode. The fifth myth I want to debunk is that the highest earning agents do nothing but work. Now, I can honestly say I have interviewed some of Australia's biggest agents. And from what I can see, the biggest and best agents, I'm talking the agents earning millions in commission, they are going on the biggest holidays. They usually take a day off in the week, and they are completely comfortable leaving their business behind for days at a time, hours at a time. And the reason is they have done the hard work to get there, and they've built up systems and processes and built a team to help them manage their business properly, all right? Manage their capacity. And I guess that comes with experience and time in market and being a great leader to get there. You do see a lot of high-performing agents that do nothing but work. I don't think that's healthy, right? There are a lot that are in that position. But I think the next level of success is to get to a business where some of these highest performers that I've interviewed, look at Sydney agents like Adrian Oddie, who I had on my podcast recently. He was just announced as a top 20 agent in Australia, highest earning. And that guy has really good work-life balance. He didn't used to, and he says it in his podcast, that it used to be all about the deal and working all the time. But he's had some reflection to change that about his life. and he's flipped it. And now he's one of the highest performing agents in Australia who also manages to do all of these things he loves, have hobbies that he does, pay more attention to his children, and have better relationships. So it can be done, but it just needs a lot of strategy, and you don't want to get caught in the rut of just working all the time forever. There may be periods of time that you're going to be like that, and that's okay. But you don't have to think that in order to make extremely large amounts of money in real estate, you're going to have to do nothing but work. There is balance that can be found. And I think actually that's the true success in real estate. The next myth that I want to debunk is that you need to have a big budget to market yourself effectively. Now, that's just simply not true, especially with social media these days. Now, the great thing about social media is that you can geo-target, right? So if we're an agent, typically we have a farm area, a patch, a suburb, or a postcode that we're gonna prospect to, and we're gonna try and build ourselves up as the market leader in that area. Now, we're so lucky in social media that you can geo-target, and that's relative to real estate. Other businesses don't have that luxury, like an accountant. They can't do an ad and then spend $100 on a specific postcode trying to get more clients. Their clients come from anywhere. And it just doesn't make sense for them to just try and get clients in a particular area. But for real estate agents, we just need to focus on a little area. So the great thing about Meta, Facebook and Instagram is you can say, okay, postcode 4068 is what I look after. How many people are between 20 and 60 in that area? You can put a few other, demographic and gender and whatever to narrow down your audience. And it can tell you the exact audience size. And then you can spend a budget just to get your advertising out to those particular people, which can be pretty cheap. As well as that, letterbox dropping is really effective if you do it consistently and doesn't cost too much for print. The time it takes to drop is expensive, but you can actually market yourself on pretty limited budgets. But the thing is, you have to back it up with the calls. Okay? This marketing's not going to work on its own. It's the marketing on top of the calls, right? So when you do a letterbox drop, it's then, that might be cheap, but then you got to spend some time calling the street and say, hey, did you get my recent letterbox drop about that sale? This is going to spark up conversations. And doing that extra work on top of your marketing, even if it's a low budget marketing budget, you can still be very effective, but you have to back it up with the hard work of the calls and the relationship building. Really, really important. Another really big myth, I think this is number 7 I'm up to, that agents believe is that your agency brand name is really important to getting you listings. Now, that's just simply not true. I'm not going to say that an agency brand means nothing, because it definitely does. And it definitely builds confidence with clients if your company brand has a good reputation and they sell a lot in the area. But what is more important is your name as the agent. The agent's name and their work in the area is far more important than the agency's name and how much the agency sold in the area. And I'll give you an example. If an agent with zero experience went into a home and he's working with an agency that sells a lot in the area, but this particular agent is brand new and goes to a listing presentation on their own and sits in front of an owner, and the owner's asking questions, how many have you sold in the area, and looking at the track record, if they see that agent hasn't sold many, then it's probably off the table. They're not going to use that agent unless they're really good at their scripts and dialogues and they know their stuff. Now, if that agent who hadn't sold much but their agency had is coming up against an out of area agent that sells heaps but doesn't necessarily sell a lot in that area, that agent with the experience who's got results on the board, even if they're not in the area, is far more likely to win that listing. People don't want to sell their property with the new kid on the block. They want the experience. Now, the agency may have a lot in the area which shows experience from the agency, but people know when they're listing their property, they're not listing with the agency. They're listing with the person sitting in front of them. That's the person that's going to be doing all the work. That's the person that's going to be negotiating their deal. That's the person that's going to be talking with all of the buyers and rounding up the interest and then convincing them that they've got the best offer on the table. Do they want the new kid on the block who's sold nothing but works with the brand that sold a lot? Nah. They want the agent that sold a lot of properties. Most likely, they want the agent that sold a lot of properties in their particular area that they like a lot, but they definitely prefer someone with experience who's got the name, who can get the job done. All right? The next myth that I want to bust here is that real estate agents are mostly arrogant tossers, okay? You know what? That's just simply not true. I've been in real estate a long time, and I'll tell you, it is an industry that attracts a lot of ego and a lot of those tosser-type stereotypes. But you know what? That's usually because the shit rises to the top, right? So those kind of egomaniac type agents with the flashy cars that love to like strut around and look real cool and, you know, have that real wanker personality. That's the stuff that you usually see because, I don't know, people do like to look at it because it's so like wanky and those peacock style people, that kind of content, it does easily spread around. Right. And people that don't have those egos, they just don't post a lot of that kind of stuff. So I think the public tends to latch onto that kind of stuff and then see all real estate agents as being that type of personality. But the truth is that it's a really small percentage of people in real estate that actually act like that. If you go into any real estate agent, I've got a real estate agency myself. I visit tons of real estate agencies. I barely ever find one of those wankers. I see them when I go to like, you know, ARIC or one of these big events where there's 1,000 agents in a small area. You can find them. But most people in real estate are just down-to-earth, good people trying to make a crust, trying to do a really good job, earn good money, but do it in an honest way and not be an egomaniac, just like idiot. Most people, like in most offices, those people don't exist, and it's just not true. So, you know, it was one of the things that made me want to stop getting into real estate when I decided I want to do real estate, because I was like, oh, I don't want to be around all those wankers. But when I got into real estate, and the first office I was in was quite a big office, and I realized everyone here is really cool. I would hang out with most of the people in this office, and there's just not that ego that I thought there was everywhere, okay? Another big myth that is, I think this is a huge myth, and I don't know if it's in other countries, if it is true, and I think it might be, but this one, spring is the best time to sell. What a load of shit. Look, maybe in New York where they have extreme winters and then summer, you know, like in countries where selling in winter is detrimental because it's literally like ice and snow outside, and it's just not like there's zero garden and it's just cold and miserable and nothing looks good, right? You can't even see the backyard because it's covered in snow. Maybe because in spring you can actually see everything and everything's blossoming and it looks beautiful. So it's like, and the weather's nice, right? So yeah, best time to sell because the property will look, but in countries like that, in Australia, we don't have that. Like in Brisbane, if you live in Queensland, our winters are like beautiful, right? It's 11 a.m., the sun's out, it's like perfect, right? Gets a bit nippy at 7 a.m., but like by the time 9 or 10 o'clock rolls around, your first open homes, it's awesome in winter. It's almost like, yeah, spring's no better. But everyone always says like spring's the best time to sell, isn't it? It's a total myth. And yeah, look, I will say that because of that, that theory that spring's the best time to sell, more listings come on in spring. So in actual fact, it's the opposite. If you're selling your home, you don't want to be on the market when more listings come on, because then there's more to choose from. You don't want to be the like, if you're selling a 4-bedroom house, you don't want 6 other 4-bedroom houses on the market at the same time. You want to be the only 4-bedroom house on the market, right? Spring, there's more listings, there's more competition. When there's more competition, you're actually more likely to get a lower price. So in actual fact, spring is probably the worst time to sell. The next myth I'm going to debunk, right, is, and this is a huge one, and you need to be able to handle this in a hot market. You hear it from sellers. We don't need an agent in a hot market. The property will sell itself. That is the biggest load of shit. It's so dumb to think like that, right? In actual fact, although it's easier to sell and offers are going to come in more frequently and quite high, selling in a hot market, it's even more important to have a good agent, because there's going to be so many offers, and in a hot market, the difference between the offers can jump significantly. In a hot market, you can end up getting a couple of $100,000 more than the median house price. If you're talking about just like median house price, you can get a couple of $100,000 more if you get like really good competition. And the more competition that you have, the more important it is to have a really skilled person handling that. So I would say it's more important in a hot market to have a great agent that knows how to handle the inquiry, knows how to really build that competition, and knows how to talk to those buyers when they're in that situation of competition to drive that best price out of them, to make them feel that FOMO, that if they don't offer high enough, they're about to get beaten, and extract the very best offer from every person. That's what's going to get you a massive sale price and big profits. So if you think just because you can get an offer without an agent because it's a hot market that you don't need an agent, then man, that's like some seriously small-minded thinking. The last myth before I go, which I want to debunk, is that success in real estate looks like flashy cars, nice suits, and big commissions. Okay? Now, yes, earning good money and selling a lot of property, that is part of the success. But I can tell you that the divorce rate for real estate agent principal owners is very high. The divorce rate for high-performing sales agents that have been married for, more than 10 years is very high. The drug addiction, the loss of health, the being overweight, alcoholism, all of these things, gambling addictions, they're all really high in real estate. And it usually comes because it's such a high energy industry that, there's so much work, and with that work comes the money. And then, you get caught up in lifestyles that, don't actually align with long-term success. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen a lot of people who look successful on the outside because they're selling a lot of commission. They might have the flashy car, they might have the nice house, but they're pretty miserable because they've ignored pillars in their life. They've gone against the grain of what true success really is. And you need to keep your eyes focused on all the pillars, because being really successful and selling a lot and working too much can take you away from the other very important pillars in your life: family, friendships, your health should be number one, your children, and having a great relationship with them, and time off and rest and relaxation. These sorts of things are so important. And if you don't have a good balance of this stuff, I don't think you're successful. I think people that have more money than anyone but have failed marriages and no relationship with their children and are overweight, I don't look at that as success at all. Just be careful on your road to the top, guys. Success isn't all about how much money you're making. Look at episode 62 on Spotify with Adrian Oddie, and that'll show you that being at the top, everything can fall apart if you're not paying attention to the other important things in your life. Guys, I hope you got some value out of those myths that I've debunked today. Thanks for joining me on the Get Keen show, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning into the Get Keen podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please show your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And make sure you subscribe on your favorite platform too. Don't stop there. Join our community of forward thinkers by connecting with me on social media at Dan_Lee_Plum. I'm looking forward to exploring more strategies and insights with you on your journey to the top. Until next time, keep getting keen.